Let's perform another round of data analysis, focusing on multiple tables. In this video, we would like to focus on our beer preparing dataset. Now let's return to our beer preparing dataset and try to perform our data analysis on multiple tables. But before we can really do the data analysis, we need to create linkages between the three data tables. Now, if you recall what we did previously, we created three tables: register log, breweries, and beers, and we did some analysis on a single table using pivot table, but there is no linkages between these three tables. So currently, these three tables are individual tables without any linkages. So let's head over to our Power Pivot tab and click on the Manage button to return to our Power Pivot window. Okay, so we have the register log, beers, and breweries tables. And if you head over to the diagram view, this is what I mean, right? There is no linkages yet between these three tables. So before we can really perform our data analysis on multiple tables, we need to create linkages between these three tables. So if you return to our Excel file, and if you head over to the register log, you see that under the column beer, right, these are the name of the beer that have been sold. And if you head over to the beers table, so you have the column name. So this is the name of the beers, and you also have the names of the breweries or the factories which produces the beer. And obviously in the third table, breweries, the name here referring to the name of the breweries or the name of the factory that produces the beer. With this in mind, right, we can easily create the linkages between register log and beers, right? So we can use the name beer, the column beer, and link it to name, right? Because these two refers to the name of the beer. The next thing is that we need to link beers with breweries. So for this case, we can link brewery to name. So these two columns basically refers to the same thing, right? The name of the breweries. Alright, so you have two one-to-many relationships being created for you. Now let's rearrange all these tables. So we put the register log at the bottom of the hierarchy, beers in the middle, and breweries on the top. So if you recall what we did in our Excel data model videos, at the bottom of the hierarchy is usually the data model, right? In our case here, the register log is our data model, and this is, this is in a many relationship. Okay, so obviously the beers is at the top, right? This is the lookup table, right, for the register log. But there is something peculiar in this relationship table, right? Something that you may not have experienced before, which is the beers, which serves as a lookup table for register log, is now the data table for breweries. Okay, so the beers basically takes on two roles, right, as a lookup table as well as a data table. So it has a one-to-many relationship with register log, and as well as with the breweries. But it's at the many relationships when it comes to the linkages with breweries. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is to hide the foreign keys, right? So if you have forgotten the concept of primary keys and foreign keys, I suggest that you review our videos on Excel data model again. So in the register log, the foreign key is obviously the name of the beer, right? So we need to hide it from our Excel pivot table. So right click on the beer and hide it from client tools. And whereas for the beers, right, the foreign keys is the brewery, which you use to link with the breweries. So right click on brewery and hide it from client tools. So the brewery and the beer will never be used in our pivot table analysis. Alright, so we have created the relationship, the links, we have hidden the foreign keys, and now it's time to return to our beer pivot table, right, and perform some data analysis. So if you still have some columns left in this pivot table fields, so please remove all of them. So the first question that we try to tackle in this video is this: which beer category is the best seller in the months of March and April? Okay. Before we proceed, right, this is the default layout of our pivot table fields. So if you're uncomfortable with this kind of layout, you do have another options, right? Just go to this tools button, right, and choose fill section and area section side by side. So some of you might feel comfortable with this kind of layout. Okay. So the question is, which beer category is the best seller? All right. So obviously, we need to focus on the category of the beer. So we drag it to rows. What else do we need? Best seller, right? So go to register log, drag quantity into values. So automatically you get the sum of quantity for each category, but we want to be more specific, right? We want to be more specific with regards to the months of March and April. So we need to go to register log, and let's turn the date month, right, into a slicer, right? So go to pivot table analyze tab, click on insert slicer and select date month. So slicer has been created for you. Let's resize it, and let's select the months of March and April. So select March, and on our keyboard press Shift or Control and click on April. So there you have it, the answer to our questions. Which beer category is the best seller in the months of March and April? So let's sort it out from largest to smallest. So obviously Belgium and French ale is our best seller with 111 quantity sold. The next question that we'll try to tackle is, what type of American beer that is the most popular in the months of January and March? So now we are focusing on the type, right? We are no longer interested in the category. So let's drag the type into rows. Since we are focusing on American beer, so the breweries has to be located in the USA. So let's turn this column into a slicer. Insert slicer and select country and click all. Let's resize it and let's select USA. In the months of January and March. So let's select January, Control keyboard and select March. Let's sort the sum of quantity from largest to the smallest, and here we go. The answer to our second question: which type of American beer is the most popular in the months of January and March? So the answer is German style Oktoberfest with 125 items sold. So this is how you perform data analysis on multiple tables. Please remember to create linkages between all our tables before we perform our data analysis using our pivot tables. Okay, And if you can't remember the concept of linkages, the one-to-many relationships, foreign keys and primary keys, please review our videos on Excel data model again. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.